Hello everybody, this is Matthew Armstrong on day 17, I believe it is, of our 90-day transformation process from mediocrity to mastery. It's a Sunday evening and I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling calm, I'm feeling clear, I'm pretty focused. And that's something I want to talk about this evening, as it's just come to me, is focus, right? You know, there's so much stuff to learn in personal development, in mindset, human behavior, psychology, and stuff like that. But it really comes down to some just very, very simple key elements that will either determine our failure or our success in whatever we want to accomplish. And you're here right now because you're going from mediocrity to mastery in some area of your life. I don't know how far along that road you are. Maybe you left mediocrity decades ago. Maybe you're never there, and maybe you just want to tweak a few things in your life and just reach a new level of mastery. I don't know where you are, wherever you are. Or maybe you've been in a rut your whole life. You're like, okay, this is it. I just realized that it's time right now. There's no other time. The time is now to make a shift, to change your life, and that's going to come with the things we're going to talk about right now. Because have you ever had goals that you set and just didn't achieve? You know, what happened there? And then you have other goals that you did achieve, right? And I've had some goals I haven't achieved, and I got frustrated about it, and why couldn't I do it, and disheartened and disappointed. And then there's other things that I overachieved on, that I did, and people were amazed at how I achieved some of the things I achieved. Did I amaze myself? I'm just thinking, did I amaze? No, I was just in it at the time, and just doing it, and I had a belief, you know. Yes, we're going to talk about focus, because focus is very important, right? Focus is key. What you're focusing on, that's what's going to determine where you go in life. This is maybe, if all personal development boils down to this one single thing of focus, of whatever you focus on long enough is going to become your reality, right? And that's what we're all here for, right? We want to grow and expand and create an even better reality, a lighter reality, a reality with more light in ourselves, more light outside of ourselves, more light in our heart, more light in our eyes, more light, right? We want to be lighter, you know? No one likes to feel heavy and sluggish and stuff like that. We want to feel light, right? So that's what I want for you. I want to bring more light into your life in whatever respect that is for you. And by focusing on what we want, what truly is at our heart's desires, that's what's going to allow that to happen. So let me start with just a quick story. I'm going to tell this story in more detail at another time, because it was a profound thing that happened, and it kind of set the pathway for my life, and it set a foundation for my understanding of what's really possible, you know. Because when I was a teenager, I wanted to join the Royal Marines Commandos. That was a goal of mine. That was a big goal of mine, and it was something that was seen as unachievable by many people. For me, one of the main reasons, is because I had asthma, which was often brought on by exercise and physical activity. So I couldn't, even in sports, PE in school, I couldn't complete the cross country without walking cross country runs, and I would come in, you know, far down the pack. You know, if we had football practice, halfway through I'd have to stop and puff on my inhaler. And so, you know, everybody saw this, everybody knew this, you know. So my teachers, when I said I was joining the Royal Marines, didn't believe I could do it, thought I was in a fantasy. My doctor did as well, and a number of my peers and other people, you know, just thought that, boy, he obviously can't do it. He has this condition, you know, which I had had quite severely since the age of 5. Since the age of 5 till 16, I puffed on my inhaler more times than I should have done. Every single day. There wasn't a day went by when I didn't have to, because my breathing was restricted. And so how was I going to join the most physically arduous infantry regiment in the world? You know, where the training was the longest and most demanding of any infantry unit in the world. How was I going to do that when I couldn't complete the cross-country in school? Well, I don't know, but I just decided, I had a desire that I wanted it, and I focused on it, right? And the pain of not getting it was, it was like I saw the forks in the road. I could go this way, I could go that way, and the fork which wasn't that just didn't seem inspiring to me at all. It seemed like the only thing that seemed inspiring to me was to do this. Anything else just didn't seem inspiring to me. So I thought, I must do this, because this is my life right now, right? And so I focused on it. And when I look back, focus was the thing that was most prevalent in my achievement, which I did it. Now, I'm a little deeper into the story in a future time, but I did eventually join the Royal Marines, and I had a great career, even breaking records and things like that on physical tests. And that came about through focus. I focused on it so much. It was always in my mind. And so I trained for it like a madman. I trained for it like a man possessed, to the point where I completely changed my my whole body and immune system and everything, where I got rid of my health conditions and got myself really strong and really fit and everything. Because I was focusing on it all the time. Even when I was hanging out with my friends in a nightclub, it was always my mind. That's what I was thinking about. It just wouldn't leave my mind. It was so important to me. And then after the nightclub finished, I thought, okay, well, I've had a few beers here. I'm going to run home, you know, just to make up for it. And so I'd run 5-6 miles home at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I had my focus, my vision. And then I wake up in the morning, and that was the most important thing to me, was to train for it in some way. So I was cycling 36 miles a day. I was going to the gym 2 hours a day. I was doing all sorts of other stuff, training for it as well, going for runs every single day, training like a complete madman for this, you know. And so it came to happen that I was able to join, and I passed everything, and that was through focus. You know, focus was the main thing. If I looked at everything, and yet there's many other things in there, which I'll talk about in the future time. There's 6 elements to it, which I'll talk about maybe next time. So make sure you keep tuning into these, because there's 90 of them. And if you haven't watched the previous ones, after you complete watching this one, make sure you go back and watch the first one, because this is a process from mediocrity to mastery. And that was my decision. I decided when I was 16 years old, you know, I saw what different people were doing. I said, okay, well, I'm not going to live a mediocre life. It was a decision I made there and then. I said, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to live a mediocre life. I'm going to do something outstanding. And I remember going to the cinema, and they always had an advert before the movie came on, and they always had the Royal Marines advert, and it was an advert of you know, guys in jungles and flying along on boats, landing on beaches, and abseiling out of helicopters, and all sorts of skiing in the Arctic, and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And it said 99.9% need not apply. And I said, okay, that's great, because I'm in the 0.1%. So to me, that was like, mastery at something, and I wanted to master that. I want to be in that 0.1%, not even the 1%, but the 0.1%, right? Because that's the amount of people who actually make it through the selection process, 0.1%, from start to finish. And so that's what I did, because I made a decision that I was not going to lead a mediocre life. I was going to master something, and that was maybe the first thing that I mastered. I became an elite soldier, like best of the best in my unit, reconnaissance unit, that sort of thing, you know. So that's what I did, and it came down to focus more than anything, just focusing on it, right? But how do you focus? This is a great question. How do you focus on what you truly desire in life? Well, first of all, sometimes we have goals, and we're not achieving our goals because our goals, as we've read about in the work of Dr. John Demartini that we've been going through in this 90 days, as we've been reading about this, it's so important is our values, right? Our values are so important. And so if our goal isn't in alignment with our values, then the likelihood of us achieving it is literally nil. Or if we do achieve it, we'll feel unfulfilled by it, or we'll struggle, or we'll sabotage, or whatever. So it's important to any goal we set to actually know enough about ourselves to know that what are our top values, and is this in alignment with our values. So any goal you set, make sure it's in alignment with your top values, or that you can link your values to it. So you have a goal, and then you have your top values, and you go, okay, well, how do my values, how does achieving this goal magnify my values or help me in what's important to me, right? And once you can make those links as possible, then we link it in the brain. Then our brain, which is a goal-seeking mechanism that wants to achieve our highest values, will go about achieving that, right? So that's a crucial point right there, is what's important to you, and if your goal is linked to that, right? You can also is an important motivating factor is the pain side of it. Look at that fork in the road and look at well, what if you don't do this? How's your life going to look like? Sure, now you're like, okay, well, I'm pretty comfortable now, but what about a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, 20 years from now, if you don't follow through with achieving your goals that are in alignment with your values, your highest values, what's going to happen then? And that pain, that fear of that happening can also get our focus on track with what we truly want to achieve. So again, how do we focus? How do we focus? Well, one thing is just to not allow ourselves to be distracted, to clear out the distractions and realize when something is a distraction, right? So a great question to ask. So this is one phenomenal way to focus, and this also increases productivity. Is as soon as we wake up in the morning, we'll ask the question, what is the most valuable thing for me to focus on today? What is the most valuable thing for me to focus on today? And I hope you're writing that down right now. Putting on a sticky note and putting it there and having it, as soon as you open your laptop or as soon as you, do whatever in the morning, ask yourself that question. Because sometimes you just get in the habit of something. So once in your consciousness right now, you can write it down in a few bits of paper. That question, what's the most valuable thing for me to focus on today? And stick that up in a few places. So then you'll get into the habit of asking yourself that question every single morning. So I just tell you now, you go, oh yeah, that's great. Tomorrow morning, you like scratch your head, oh, what was that question again? And then you just go into the old routine, the old habits, and nothing changes. But the quality of our lives are in proportion to the quality of the questions we ask, which is something that is often said, right? The quality of our questions determines the quality of our lives. Different ways of saying it, right? So that's a great quality question. What is the most valuable thing that I can focus on today? And if you write that down on a number of bits of paper, stick it up on the mirror in the bathroom, put it beside your bed, places where you're going to see it first thing in the morning. And so you can ask yourself that question. By asking that question, your brain goes to find an answer. It's what's in your unconscious is very, very powerful. So by asking that question, something goes back into the unconscious mind and pulls something out and says, okay, let's focus on this. This is most important, right? And when you find yourself being distracted, and distractions abound, they're everywhere. You can ask, is this supporting my highest values? Is this supporting my mission? Is this supporting my vision? If the answer is no, then don't focus on it. Simple as that. There's a lot of world events going on. There's atrocities happening all over the place, and is focusing on that going to help you with your vision? I decided I'm not, because I used to focus on different things. You know, stuff happened in Libya, Gaddafi, stuff happened in Iraq, and stuff happened here and there. And I used to be like, you know, focusing on that stuff. This is happening, posting it on Facebook and stuff like that. And then I realized one day, I said, what is this? Me focusing on this isn't going to help the world. Here's what helps the world. What helps the world is you focusing on what you love to do and doing it to the best of your ability. That's what's going to help the world more than anything. If you want to go and be a peace worker somewhere, if you want to go and work for the UN and stuff like that, then maybe focusing on, you know, what's going on in the world and the different campaigns and battles and whatever, maybe that's going to help you. If you're a journalist or whatever, you know, that is in alignment with your values. But if it's not in alignment with your values, if it's not going to help your values, if it's not going to help your goals, if it's not going to help your vision, then why are you focusing on it? It's a distraction. It's a distraction. And if you want to be masterful, if you want to get out of mediocrity, stop focusing on that stuff. Because that's not your vision. That's not your life. Right? There will always be stuff happening in the world. There will always be things happening in the news. The media, the television, you know, what we're getting from the internet now with, you know, these are weapons of mass distraction. Weapons of mass distraction. They're distracting you from your life, from your vision, from your dreams, from your goals. You need to focus. Now is the time to focus with all your energies on what you want. And when you do that, great power comes to you. Great power comes to you. You become like a magnifying glass, right? The sun shines on the earth and warms the earth. You take a magnifying glass and you focus the energy of the sun and you get it into a fine focus. It becomes like a laser, and it will actually create a fire. It will burn through things just from that magnifying glass because you focused, you harnessed the sun's energy and you focused it, right? Start to harness the power of your unconscious mind and focus it. Focus it on what you truly desire in life. And that's when you start to become masterful. When you focus all your energies on something, that's when you achieve the impossible. That's when you achieve goals that people think that you couldn't achieve. That's when you do outstanding things, when you're able to focus. The masters on this planet are able to focus and don't allow themselves to get distracted. And the people who I admire or model after in some way, I look at what they're doing and they're not getting distracted. They keep focused on their vision. They keep focused on their purpose. They keep focused on their highest values. And that's how you do it. You don't allow the distractions to happen. You get clear on what's the distraction, what's distraction. You just make a decision, say, no, that's it. You get very clear on your vision. The more details you have in your vision, the more focus you can put on it. Build up the details of your vision. Build it up. Build it up in your mind. Focus, 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 right? You know, and then you can get more detailed focus. So just say, I'm focusing on my business. Okay, well, what's the most important thing in my business I need to focus on to build my business to you know, triple it this year or whatever? You know, what's the most important thing to focus on there? And then the answer will come to you. Do this. You know, the most important thing is to focus on sales, right? Okay, focus on sales. Yeah. So whatever it is for you, find out what that is through the power of questions. Okay? Great. So, you know, then you can also ask the question of, you know, what's the most important thing to focus on today? But you can also say, what's the most important thing for me to focus on this week? You know, it comes to Monday morning, you wake up, okay, what's the most important thing for me to focus on this week? What's the most important thing for me to focus on over these 90 days? What's the most important thing for me to focus on this year? What's the most important thing for me to focus on this decade? What's the most important thing for me to focus on for the rest of my life? And you can interchange the word important to valuable, right? What's the most valuable thing I can focus on for the rest of my life. That's in alignment with my highest values, heartfelt values. Questions like that. That's what's going to change your life. That's what's going to change the trajectory of and take you from mediocrity to mastery. Make sense? Great. I'm glad it does. So we're going to continue reading our book, The Values Factor. And again, if this is your first time watching, you need to purchase this book. It's by Dr. John Demartini, and you can go to drdemartini.com and find out more about him and his work and the book. I think you can buy the book on his website, or you can also go to Amazon, of course, or other online bookstores and purchase this book, because there are exercises in this book. I'm reading from the books, as might seem strange that I'm reading directly from the book, but I just thought it was the best thing to do. I asked myself the question, what's the most valuable way I can get this information across? And the answer came back, just read directly from the book. Right, really? Is that not a bit weird? And he said, no, read directly from the book. I went, okay, I'll read directly from the book then. Let's see what happens, okay? So even I thought it was a bit weird at first, but, you know, but something else thought I should do it, so I'm doing it. Okay, so let's go with it. Delaying gratification. We're on page 110, by the way. Now, since there is no ease without difficulty, no support without challenge, your mission may sometimes require you to do something that is seemingly unpleasant, frustrating, or temporarily unfulfilling. In fact, anything that you do in your daily life that you can't see as fulfilling your highest values will leave you feeling drained. That is why it is important to honor your most inspiring challenges, for they make you precociously independent and cause you to grow. How do you honor your challenges? There is a simple, effective way to do so. Link every action or experience that you find unfulfilling, that you cannot delegate, and that you feel you must do or face to your highest values. Let me read that one more time. Link every action or experience that you find unfulfilling, that you cannot delegate, and that you feel you must do or face to your highest values. Once you understand that an action that you might initially perceive as unfulfilling can actually help you fulfill your highest values, you can become more fully inspired to do it. And if you are able to view things in this way, these unfulfilling actions won't leave you feeling drained. They will leave you feeling fulfilled. Now, in order to find this inspiration, you may have to expand your time horizons. For example, Jordan, who took my seminar, The Breakthrough Experience in Phoenix, was frustrated by his life working as a waiter. Although Jordan worked at a high-end restaurant and made quite a decent living from tips, he had always wanted to study web design. He had a vision of himself creating complex websites that could perform intricate tasks while remaining user-friendly and reliable. He loved the idea of using his creativity in this way, and he was enthused by the thought of all the people he could help. So, inspired by what he discovered and decided during my seminar, he enrolled in his local public university, intending to get his degree as well as to expand his knowledge of the field. Jordan was being both inspired and realistic. He realized that the kinds of jobs he wanted required the credential of a college degree, as well as the actual skills needed to perform specific tasks. He was prepared to take the steps that would lead him to his goal. Soon, though, Jordan found himself frustrated by the many requirements for the degree that seemed irrelevant to his ultimate goal. When I came through town again, Jordan refreshed his knowledge by attending my seminar a second time, and he came up to speak to me afterward. I don't mind taking classes that relate to what I want to learn, he told me. In fact, I love them. But why do I have to take all these other classes that don't relate? English for non-majors, a basic math class, and something about history. I'm inspired by my design classes and frustrated by all the others. Help. I gave Jordan 2 suggestions. 1. Link every subject you're studying at school to your highest values and ultimate goal. If you can see ways in which these topics are part of reaching your goal, you will be inspired to do well in every course, and the information you are learning will stick. 2. Widen your time frame. If your ultimate goal is just one day away, your inspiration will easily sustain you for that one day. But if a key step toward meeting your goals takes 4 years, as it did in Jordan's case, you need to stretch out your horizons so that 4 years feels like a manageable time period. Focusing on the links between your immediate actions and your ultimate goal is one way to do this. Breaking your long-term goal down into a series of more manageable short-term steps and then linking them is another option. I explain exactly how to do this in later chapters, and I offer several exercises to walk you through it. Either way, here is the secret of not giving up on whatever it takes to reach your goal. Achieve your purpose, fulfill your mission, and live your destiny. Are you ready for it? Good. Link whatever you see as being in the way to being on the way. Then chunk down your necessary action steps into more manageable bites. Let's say that again? Okay. Link whatever you see as being in the way to being on the way, then chunk down your necessary action steps into more manageable bites. Throughout this book, I'll provide more specific suggestions for linking your short-term actions to your long-term goal, particularly in chapters 7 and 8. Meanwhile, I'd like to share with you the key part of this message. If your actions are aligned with your highest values, you automatically walk your talk so that you tackle ever greater challenges over increasingly large amounts of time and space. The process of pursuing your mission and living your destiny makes your brain become ever more capable and causes the magnitude of space and time in your mind to expand. If, on the other hand, you are attempting to live according to someone else's highest values, you are likely to feel unfulfilled. You will end up seeking immediate gratification, your space and time horizons will shrink, and you'll begin thinking in terms of your immediate passions rather than your inspired mission. Living by your highest values expands your outreach and enables you to live your more expanded destiny. Subordinating your highest values limits your reach and keeps you from fulfilling your most meaningful destiny, which you deserve. What complaining really means. A few weeks ago, I was giving a seminar in South Africa, and I had the opportunity to speak with the wife of a high-achieving entrepreneur. Dr. Demartini, she told me, "I love everything you said about mission and fulfillment. I only have one question. How do I convince my husband that he should find something more fulfilling to do?" I'd actually met her husband, whom I knew to be one of the most driven and ambitious entrepreneurs in South Africa. I was surprised at this perspective of a man who, to me, had seemed to be living an extremely fulfilling life. "What makes you think he's not fulfilled?" I asked her. "Oh," she said, "he's always complaining about something. He complains about his long hours, about other people aren't working up to his standards, about how he has to do all sorts of things himself that he prefers to delegate, about how long everything takes to get to the level of quality that he requires. I think he has stopped complaining ever since the day I married him. I always thought that was just his way, but now that I've taken your seminar, I wonder if it means that he is leading an uninspired life and maybe he would love to do something different." I shook my head. "I seldom pay attention to people's complaints," I told her. "I primarily look at their actions, because no matter what people say, they won't continue to do what they do if they don't see more advantages than disadvantages in doing so. People may not be aware of what they perceive as advantages. They may even see advantages in seemingly self-destructive behavior, such as overeating or smoking. But if a person is undertaking a behavior, he or she believes on some level that this behavior will be of benefit in achieving his or her highest values. For some examples of how this principle operates in the field of wellness, see Chapter 10. The woman nodded, and I continued. "So having said that, how does your husband spend his time? What is a typical day, week, month, and year for him?" The woman told me that her husband typically bounded out of bed at 6 in the morning, worked out, ate a healthy breakfast, and headed for his computer. There he conducted business for a couple of hours before heading to the office, where he usually remained until 8 or 9 at night, sometimes longer. On weekends he worked from home, usually at least 6 hours a day, but sometimes longer. "Most years I can get him to take a 2-week vacation," she told me, "but some years he says there's a crisis somewhere and he can't afford to take even that." "I don't know if your husband is fulfilling his highest values or not," I told her. "I don't know if he is living his destiny, or if he is driven by something else. Maybe attempting to subordinate his own values to his mother's, or trying to win approval from his father. Without talking to him, I couldn't say. But I can tell you that this complaining is irrelevant. Clearly your husband is doing exactly what he prefers to do and is working exactly as hard as he wants to work. The complaining just means that he hasn't yet seen how the thing he's complaining about is actually serving him. On some level, he knows that all his hard work is serving some higher purpose in his life, or he wouldn't do it. But he hasn't become conscious of how some of his daily actions and business challenges are serving him. So he complains. He may simply be comparing his present actions and career position to a fantasy that he feels it should or could be. Well, said the woman, I can tell you that I'm getting tired of all the complaining. I'm getting tired of seldom seeing my husband and rarely getting to go on vacation with him. Your complaining about him means just as little as his complaining about work, I told her. You're still with your husband, you have not yet left him or divorced him. So I have to believe that you are still getting more advantages than disadvantages from your relationship. Otherwise, you would have left. Sometimes people complain because they don't see how certain actions are serving them, whether their own actions or those of other people in their lives, especially when they compare reality with the fantasies they develop based on injected values or social idealism. Sometimes they prefer the security of something they know to an unknown that might be more fulfilling, but perhaps is also more frightening. Sometimes they haven't yet seen an alternative, or they can only imagine a less fulfilling alternative and haven't yet managed to envision a more meaningful one. For example, a woman says that she wants to lose weight, yet she continues to overeat. Why? Perhaps as a child when she was at a healthy weight, her mother insisted on dressing her up in girly clothes that did not fit the woman's own sense of her personality and spirit. And she was only allowed to choose her own look when she was too overweight for her mother to even attempt to impose a different one. Perhaps as a teenager, when she was at a healthy weight, she received unwanted attention from men, and she did not know how to handle, and perhaps as a result, engaged in sexual activities that she later felt violated by or conflicted about. Perhaps as a woman, when she was at a healthy weight, she was treated with less professional respect at work. Or perhaps she was never at a healthy weight but feared all these outcomes for herself because of what she saw happening to her mother, her sisters, or her women friends. If the woman is not aware of her negative or painful associations with being at a healthy weight, she will pursue her highest values, say independence, self-respect, sexual autonomy, or professional achievement by overeating, even though she does not realize this is why she must overeat. Once she becomes aware of these associations, she is free to pursue her highest values in other ways, and overeating loses its compulsive power. So, if you find yourself frequently complaining about your circumstances, I suggest you do what I do. Consider of your possible alternatives. Decide whether you prefer one of the possible alternatives. Choice. If you choose to continue as you have, look to link your current situation to your highest values. Exercise 2 can help you with this process. Exercise 2 will come tomorrow night. We'll talk about exercise 2 and then complete that in the following days or this evening. It may have also clarified some things that I was talking about earlier. Focus and your goals and aligning your goals with your values, or linking your goals with your values or the things that you're finding unfulfilling or whatever. Right? Linking them to your highest values, then you can see how you become inspired there, because you can see how they assist you in your life's purpose. So that will do us for this evening. I want to thank you for spending your time with me, and look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. If you haven't yet joined my team and you want to create the financial freedom or create another stream of income online, and then you can click on the link below and you can do that. Or if you simply just want to receive emails from me, I send out inspiring personal development emails and updates, and let you know when different things are happening. You can just also click on the link below, put in your email address, then you'll be on my one of my subscribers, and then you can receive various things from me in the future, so you don't miss anything that's coming up, because lots of cool stuff is always coming up. Okay, so what's the most valuable thing you can do right now? That's your question. Remember to write it somewhere. That's the homework for tonight. What's the most valuable thing I can do right now? What's the most valuable thing I can do today? What's the most valuable thing I can do for the rest of my life? Very powerful question, my friend. Thank you for spending your time with me. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And I think Tuesday morning we're going to change the time of the hangout and do morning time instead of evening time. It might suit you, it might not, but I think it's going to be better for me to do to get to eat that frog first thing in the morning. Okay, thanks for watching and see you again mañana.